Hello.
Hello, hi.
Hi. Oh, good. Thank God I can see you. The
Oh
last,
yeah, I can see and hear you really good too.
yeah, thank God, because the last lady, nothing worked. It was terrible. Anyway,
Yay, technology.
oh damn it, I know. And I
Yeah.
actually that even happens in chat shows here. You know what I mean? People of stars are phoning in from Hollywood to a proper chat show, and even that doesn't work. You know?
Yeah, and my video and things sometimes is not that reliable, especially when I'm like in Discord for movie online events. It's worked pretty good,
Okay, this is, where are you?
recently, but sometimes it's not
Yeah, where are you?
reliable. But anyway, yeah, this is so cool. Yeah, a friend of mine got me into Rocky Horror like on my birthday, like some years back, and it was
Darling, I can only see you from your nose up.
oh, I'm sorry.
Where's your mouth? Yeah, that's it. Hi.
All right, there
That's
we go.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So so a friend got me into Rocky Horror, and it got me into reading up on like the history and like the original stage play. And I heard your original version of science fiction double feature from the stage play, and I actually had a question because the way you sing it, it reminds me of this one singer from the 1930s. I think her name was Helen Kane, and she was kind of like the inspiration for Betty Boop. I actually always wanted to ask, were you trying to kind of imitate her kind of?
Well, I was playing a character. I was a usherette with an ice cream tray, okay? And it began on stage. I was sitting under a net on the stage, and the audience was coming in, 60 people, and they walked past me, and they didn't know what I was, and they were poking me, and I thought, stop doing that. I couldn't tell them because they didn't know what I was. If I was under a carded net.
Mm-hmm.
The reason for that was we didn't have a curtain. We had no money. You know, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you fine, yes.
Right. Well, we're putting on this show, and it was 60 seats, and we had very little money. And so we'd no curtain because it's in a room, you know. But we needed somewhere to put the band, so they made up the idea of having a screen, that it would be a cinema, you know. So the band was behind the screen, so the stage was only like that width, you know. And so that's why they had the ghouls and the ushers and things, because in the stage show they have those walking around, so that they could come and lift the net off me, and they said, glad you could come tonight. And I turned on the light, my ice cream tray, and ta-da, I was an usherette in front of a movie screen. Mm-hmm. So I sang her song, the usherette song, as this girl who was so in awe of these movies, you know.
Yeah.
And so that was the character that I created, you know. So I had her sing science fiction, you know, like it was all amazing to her. They were her favorite movies, you know. So when we got to the film, it turned out Richard O'Brien was singing the song. And I said, then I'm not doing it. I don't want to be in your movie. They took me to lunch and asked me to do it. And then they told me I wasn't singing science fiction. They said the reason was it wouldn't work having an usherette in the movie. That's not going to work. I said, oh, you mean I'm not playing the usherette? And that's the only reason I took part, was that song. And Magenta wasn't, you know, she wasn't even written in Hollywood. She was nothing, you know. She is in the movie, but not in the stage show. Small part. She was written overnight. We only got Time Warp was brought in overnight. We didn't have that to begin with. So the usherette was the reason I accepted. That song was the reason I did the thing. And when they told me they wasn't doing it in the movie, I said, then I'm not interested. Not doing it. Took me to lunch. I said, stop, Pat, stop. Come. You know, come round to Brian Thompson's house, and I want you to look at the sets. Jim Sharman said, we want to show you the sets for this movie. And I said, okay, all right. But if I'm not doing that, I'm not. Yeah. And I looked at the sets, and there's a laboratory, and there's, you know, everything. And my costumes, playing adorned dresses. I said, oh! I said, I'm doing this. You know, it was I was amazed. Couldn't believe it. How it opened out, you know. And then we were driving down to the studios, to Grey Studios, with Tim Curry and Richard in a car. And Tim Curry said to Richard, by the way, Richard, who is singing science fiction? And Richard said, I am. I said, you, how you've taken my song, you what? I said, oh my goodness. Oh, I was shocked, you know? Yeah.
It's funny that they would say that the movie can't have an usherette because I don't know if you saw the remake that they did like 5 years ago. They actually put the usherette like back in the film.
Yeah, but I'd rather not have seen any of it, to tell you the truth. It was dreadful.
Oh, you're not missing much because it's literally like, this is what I tell other people. It's literally a shot-for-shot remake of the original.
Well, darling, I did see it. I saw it. I don't think I finished watching it. No. I don't remember what they did with Usherettes, but whatever they did, the whole thing was diabolical. Anyway, it's so sad how dreadful it was. But anyway, and it was so bad. I didn't know how they got it so wrong. You didn't talk about that. And it was Lou Adler, the same producer of the film. You know, how he let that go. It was cheap. There's really no money on it. You know what I mean? Anyway, forget about that. But my point was that then on the last day of the shoot, it's over. It's a wrap. We're finished. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone. Cheerio. Jimmy John, Pat, before you go. I said, yeah. He said, I want to tell you something. I've got this idea that we'd like to use your mouth, you know, as a disembodied mouth, like the Man Ray painting of the mouth. He said, do you know it? I said, no, I didn't at the time. Oh, no, maybe I have a poster of it in my house, actually. And so anyway, the Man Ray painting, he said. I said, no, I'm not sure about that. And he said, yeah, it's a disembodied mouth in the sky. And he said, I'd like to have that, and your mouth singing science fiction. And I said, oh. I said, my mouth and his voice. How much? And I went off, and I went on to do a play in the West End with my husband, but Robert Stevens, who wasn't my husband then, but I went to do a play with him, and I got my name up in lights in the West End of the theatre, and I'm on the stage in the West End. I get a call from Rocky Horror, and would I come to Elstree Studios? Oh, yeah, to do the mouth. And I thought, oh yeah, the mouth. And I went to Elstree, and it was really astonishing because Elstree was completely, nobody was making any movies. It was very depressing. There was nothing going on except me with a blacked up face and a red mouth, you know, sitting in the sunshine, taking a break. And then I went in, and they didn't have any effects to do that mouth. You know, they didn't have special effects. And they just turned a cloth over the camera, and they cut out a tiny piece and focused on the lips, you know.
Yeah.
And then they said, you keep moving our frame, Pat. And I said, well, they said, take that arc lamp out of that and clamp her head in the clamp her in. So they screwed my head into the light. You know what I mean? The fitting, like I was a lamp. And it was a brilliant idea because I went, because I didn't move. When you sing, your face moves a bit. See?
That sounds uncomfortable.
No, it wasn't. It was okay. I didn't mind it.
Oh.
I know. And then the thing was, they said, do you want to, you know, do you know the words? And I said, yeah, I know the words.
Really?
Yeah, really. And so I sang it, and I know, thank God we did that, because there's the lips, you know. I've got them here.
That's your lips right there.
Yeah, there they are. Somebody gave me that cushion. Fan gave it to. It was nice. Anyway, I love it. Anyhow, so that was it. That was a great moment, and they had no money left. You know, I got paid tuppence halfpenny. Yeah, you know, they'd no money left. So we did the lips for nothing, really.
Yeah.
We did the whole thing for nothing. There's very low budget because Jim Sharman refused to use any names. You know, Mick Jagger and people wanted to play the Frank, but he didn't want them.
Yeah.
Quite right.
Yeah.
And he wanted us. He wanted the original cast. Quite right. You know, because we had it down to, you know, because we were in from the beginning. Like the Time Warp was written overnight when we were in rehearsal, because Jim Sharman said we need a dance for these three. He wrote an amazing book. It's called Blood and Tinsel, Jim Sharman, and it's fantastic. The things he tells you about Rocky Horror in that book. It's a brilliant book. You should read it.
I've seen that in a library somewhere, I think.
Blood and Tinsel, it's called.
Hmm.
So if you get a chance to get it, get it. So, sorry, where are you? Where do you live?
I'm from Tacoma, Washington.
All right, is that where you are?
Yeah, it's a kind of northwestern area of the United States.
Yeah.
Very cold right now.
Yeah, really. Mm.
Well, there's a weird timer going off. I'm not sure if this thing's close to ending or not. But
no, don't worry about it. It does all the time.
Okay.
Don't forget it.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is the first time I've done this, so this is new to me.
It's lovely. It's really nice. I like it. It's nice. And is there anything else you want to know?
What's that?
Is there anything else you want to know, especially? You know.
I'm trying to think.
No, if you have to think, it doesn't matter. We can talk about something else.
Oh yeah, well, how have you been doing during like the whole 2020?
Don't talk about
this, or
yeah, don't talk about it. I mean, we've gone into tier 4. It's called. Like we can't now move. We can't go out. There's a new strain. Everyone knows about this, don't you?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that on the news.
Yeah, well, it's very big here in London. They're making out that it's much more, you know, catching and worse than the first one. Like they wanted to frighten us, and they bloody well have. They frightened me, and I haven't been. You know what I mean? But I don't. It's awful now. We can't, you know. I mean, our idiot who runs this country, who shall remain nameless, from me, and he, you know, said to everyone, "Go and have Christmas. Have a lovely time, everyone." Mad. And that's all been cancelled. Nobody's going home for Christmas. And they all thought they were. You know what I mean? Like he's been ridiculous. Every side telling him, "Don't do this," and he does it. You know.
Yeah. And usually, I mean, for the holidays, I mean, I usually travel down to Oregon to visit family, and couldn't really do anything for Thanksgiving because Oregon had restrictions going on, and they kind of did that here in Washington. But right now, it's just one of those play-by-ear things for Christmas.
Absolutely. But yesterday, all travel was stopped, like to go to Scotland or to go anywhere like it within, you know, England. Travel like that, and people were madly getting on trains. So there were millions of people catching the last out of London. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It creates panic, and then the amount of people arriving at stations, like thousands of them, to get home for Christmas. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now today, you can't go anywhere at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, someone's flying to Mexico in a couple of days if she gets out. I don't know if it'll work. You know. Anyway, it's these times. I mean, I have a friend in New York. In fact, she was the first magenta. She's the first person who ever dressed up as magenta. You know, at the 8th Street Playhouse in New York. This is at the very beginning when it began. The whole cult began. She was the first, and she became a friend of mine, and I've been friends with her ever since. I stay with her in New York. You know.
Is she one of the actresses that was in the movie Grease, or am I thinking of someone else?
Grease? No.
Oh.
They were in the movie, Alan Parker's movie. They showed the Rocky Horror Show in Alan Parker's movie. What movie is that? I've forgotten the name of it. Alan Parker has these kids. They're at stage school, and they go to see Rocky Horror. And all those fans were in the movie. And Sal Pira, who was the main fan at the 8th Street Playhouse, he was in the movie. Got work out of it. It was great. Have you ever seen that movie? I've forgotten the name of it. Alan Parker movie. And they've got a whole big Rocky Horror scene. The two students, stage school, go to see Rocky Horror because they've heard about it. And they want to show his girlfriend the Rocky Horror show, you know. Mm. So they were all in it. They got well. But Robin, she lives in New York. And I was saying to her, this is quite a while ago. And I said, you're very strict about this COVID stuff, Robin. And she said, well, Pat, if you lived in New York, you would be too. Because I hadn't really realized how many deaths in New York. You're right.
Oh yeah, I'm good. It's just I was just having some audio issues. I was fixing the volume.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all. I mean, you know, and now I think I know what she was talking about. But at first I thought she's very, you know, cautious. Like she wasn't going out, she wasn't doing anything. And I thought, she said, because I was unaware of the deaths in America. Like there were so many.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, aside from Rocky Horror, like what other stage work have you done that you like enjoyed doing?
Oh, I've done tons of stuff. I mean, the main thing that sells is I, Claudius. It's a box set. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Well, you should.
Yeah.
I, Claudius, it's called, and it's the whole of the history of Rome. It's fantastic. Wonderful actors.
Oh, I think I have heard of it. I had not seen it, but I have heard of that.
Well, I was in New York for Rocky Horror one time, and this news vendor selling newspapers, and he shouted at me. He said, "You, yeah, you." And I thought, oh, what's that? Is he a Rocky Horror fan? You know, he's selling newspapers in the street in New York. He said, you're a terrible woman. And I thought, what? What? I said, yeah, you. He said, you murdered your husband. I said, yeah. He said, you murdered your daughter. I said, yeah. And he said, yeah, you deserved everything you got. He was watching I, Claudius with the whole of New York. Because I'm a very wicked person, I, Claudius.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of a weird incident. Or interesting, I should say.
Yeah, it was brilliant because he believed that I'd done it. I'm walking in the streets of New York in my clothes like now, you know what I mean? And he shouted at me. He recognized me from the film. And the whole of New York, the streets of New York were, and the same happened in London. When I thought this was showing, people didn't leave their houses. The places were empty. You know what I mean? It's true. It's brilliant. Because my son got the box set. My son hadn't seen it, and he got the box set. And he said he started watching it, and he didn't go to bed. He watched the whole thing, or every episode. Because he couldn't. You know, he just wanted to know what happens next. You know? Oh. So please get it. You love it.
Oh. Yeah. I've never been to New York, but I hear that it can be a pretty crazy place over there. Like really busy.
I love it. I love New York. It's the best. After London, it's the best. And I went to Chicago, and I was never so disappointed because I thought that would be amazing because I believed all the songs, Frank Sinatra song, Chicago, a wonderful town, you know. So many songs about it. It's really boring. You know, and it's because of the people who live there, because it's Midwest, and the people are Midwest. You know what I mean? They're on the buses and things, you know. And you just think, it's all a bit dull here, Chicago. I wouldn't give you thumbs for it. And I thought, because I thought it'd be as good as, if not better than New York. New York and London, yeah. Paris, yes. You know, but London first.
Yeah, the only place outside of the United States I've really been to is Canada, and it was really briefly during because my dad and I several years ago went on an Alaskan cruise, and Canada was one of the stops, and I forgot the city that it was called, but they had like one of those old-fashioned. It was like an actual castle. I mean, it's not like the kind you'd see in like movies and stuff like that, but they had a tour and all that, and that was actually pretty cool on both on the inside and the outside. But that's the only place I've ever been to outside of the United States.
You've got to come here. You've got to. Come on, it's not that far. Come on. What age are you?
Oh, I'm 33.
All right, it's time you got out of there. I mean, you know, it's amazing to us because, like, so many Americans have never been outside America. They don't really exist. You know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would love to like go to like England or London, mainly because one of the things I want to go see is the Comedy Store Players, because I'm a fan of the British improv series Whose Line Is It Anyway, and a lot of the cast members from that show perform at the Comedy Store Players. I think it'd be cool to see them live.
Oh, I didn't know that existed. Is that what it's called?
Yes, I'm not sure if they got the name from the Comedy Store here in America. I don't know too much about the history of the Comedy Store Players in England. I just know that it has some of the comedians.
I mean, then there was a place, and then they were all Rick Mail and all these people. They were all discovered. They were the new comics, and then they started doing TV series and things. You know, they were like a new breed of comedian. You know, new style. But I don't know the Comedy Store. Don't know.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, me, I'm a tech at a Emerald Queen Casino. Well, when I first worked there, I worked in the deli for about 6 years, which I always tell people that was 5 years too long. And then I became a runner, which is usually just somebody who troubleshoots the machines, you know, or does change with the guests. Like if somebody has a 20 and they want 4 5s instead, you give them a 4.
Oh yeah, I was at the Playboy Club when it opened in London. I was a rabbit, bunny.
Huh.
And they said I went to interview for them because the Playboy Club suddenly came to London. So I saw it advertised they wanted rabbits. So I went, and they said, right, and they took our swimsuit and makeup, you know, and walk up and down high heels. And they said, right, blackjack. I said, oh, right, thanks. And they employed me as a blackjack dealer, so they had to train me, you know, to count the cards and everything. So I dealt blackjack. I love doing that.
I've had a few coworkers switch out of the tech, mainly because we've just had a bunch of changes going on. But I've had a few have went to become dealers. Apparently, it pays more.
Oh, I'm sure. Why don't you do it?
It's something I've been thinking about. Right now, because of the changes that have been going on, the casino that I work at, we were closed down for 2 months.
Well, yeah, I have friends here who work in casinos, 2 of them, husband and wife, and they've been really closed down. You know, no, of course not.
It's just I probably might become a dealer. It's just at the moment there's a lot of new stuff you got to take in and learn and relearn, and at the moment I'm just like, well, right now at the department I'm in, we just have a whole bunch of changes going on with the job, so it's like I'm kind of adapting to that at the moment. But maybe I will become join the dealers at some point.
Well, I think it's more interesting, maybe, you know.
I think one of the reasons why I haven't done it, especially since we opened back up, is that there's more people you're interacting with, and right now it's just like I'm kind of like, I'm fine what I'm doing.
Right now, nobody's going to do anything, and nobody's going to a casino, so that's all there's to it. It's all closed, finished, you know. And I hope to God everything works out, but it's not going to be quick.
Oh yeah.
And the snow. Who's that? Did someone speak?
Yep, I was just going to warn you that we're getting very close to the end. You have only a little bit longer.
Yeah, well, that's great. Thank you. I'm tired. Thank you. Thanks. All right, because I've been doing, you know, the video thing. I'm exhausted. It was setting this bloody thing up. I'm not technical, but I've done it. You know what I mean?
Oh, me either. I mean, for one time I wanted to do like live streaming video games because everyone else is doing it, but then there's all this, you got to get this software and that, and I'm like, I get so overwhelmed.
Anyway, it's been lovely meeting you.
Oh, yeah, it was cool meeting you and chatting with you. It's so cool. Okay,
darling. Bless your heart, and I wish you lots of luck.
Oh, you too. And you have a good rest of your day.
Bless your heart. Bye.
Bye.